How will Duterte end? More than 7,000 people have been killed since Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte took office and declared all-out war on drug users and drug dealers. But when will it end, and how? It's the near future. The Philippines' brutal war on drugs is still dragging on with no end in sight. Life in the country is dismal, and once staunch supporters of Duterte have started to turn restless and disillusioned. But instead of addressing his frustrated constituents, Duterte has courted military support. He's visited camps and connected with soldiers as if he knew what was coming. With so many disgruntled Filipinos, mass protests break out all over the capital, and soon, a coup to finally overthrow the president. But as his enemies march on the presidential palace, the man they are after is nowhere to be seen. Rodrigo Duterte retreats to Davao in the south, to the real seat of his power. He rules from his beloved hometown, surrounded and supported by loyal troops and powerful old allies. His endgame is independence, secession from the rest of the country. Duterte has a vision, and it's this: an independent republic in the south, controlled by him alone. Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews. Duterte has been in office barely a year, but his path has already been littered with controversies and dead bodies. Duterte admits to throwing a kidnapper out of a helicopter. You know how in Grand Theft Auto, the first thing you always do is fly really, really high in a chopper, then jump out to see the body fall and ragdoll? Well, as it turns out, Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte has a penchant for that too, except in real life and with real human beings. This week, Duterte claimed he once threw a man out of a helicopter when he was mayor of Davao City. The guy had allegedly abducted and abused a girl. The story came to light as Duterte threatened to do the very same thing to corrupt officials over the city of Manila. Earlier this month, he admitted to hunting and killing suspects Punisher style while he was mayor of Davao. Meanwhile, nearly 6,000 suspected drug dealers and users have been extrajudicially slaughtered since he became president in the summer. Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte needs to put a sock in it. If Scarface were a clown, he would be Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte. Duterte comes from humble beginnings as a mayor who ordered liquidation squads to kill criminals and opponents in gangland-style assaults that left about 1,000 dead. After finagling his way to the presidency, he's taken his executions nationwide with his anti-drug campaign, which has left more than 3,000 suspected drug users and dealers dead since taking over in June. Duterte likes to talk tough, but he carries a little stick. His mouth has been writing checks his country can't cash. This moron thinks his allies are his enemies, and that he can trust countries like China and Russia. And now he wants their weapons. Sucking up to China will totally make them share the South China Sea. Yeah, right. Someone just needs to take this Kim Jong-un wannabe out, and soon, before he really does some irreparable damage to the Philippines. Maybe it's time he gets a little taste of his own medicine.
Duterte says the Philippines can do it alone, with help from China and Russia. Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte picked up a nickname back when he was a mayor, Duterte Harry. But it's not because he's tough, it's because he likes it dirty. Duterte is planning an international butt-kissing tour starting in China this week. Duterte thinks that by using big boy words, he can make the world take him seriously, rather than see him for the buffoon he actually is. Not only is he incredibly thin-skinned, but his latest threat to ditch the US in favor of China shows his astonishing naivety. He apparently wants to make the Philippines less dependent on the US by making them more dependent on China or even Russia. Great plan. This Duterte really believes China will sell him advanced weaponry to use in the South China Sea. Duterte really thinks China will play nice just because he puts on some lipstick. He's sadly mistaken. But hey, at least he's going to ban smoking in public places now. How's he going to do that? Have all the smokers be extrajudicially shot?
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews. Duterte, the deadly dunderhead. Digong admits to killing suspects. On Monday, genocidal maniac and Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte bragged that he'd personally killed people during his tenure as mayor of Davao City. He was speaking to business leaders at the presidential palace in Manila when he boasted, "In Davao, I used to do it personally, just to show the guys if I can do it, why can't you?" Now, how's that for death squad motivation? Duterte explained he'd drive around the city on his big boy bike and would go on patrol, scouring the streets for wrongdoers to put down Punisher style. What's terrifying is that he also said, "I was really looking for an encounter so I could kill." So yeah, the elected leader of the Philippines is pretty much a stone-cold psycho. But should we really be surprised? After all, this is the same guy who once said, "Hitler massacred 3 million Jews. There's 3 million drug addicts. I'd be happy to slaughter them." Since being voted in as president this summer, Digong's death squads have killed around 6,000 suspects during his bloody war on drugs. And with no end to the extrajudicial slaughter in sight, that number is going nowhere but up.